So welcome everyone. We're trying something different this Epoch review. We're looking to summarize all the highlights in this deck and video, which will be disseminated to the community prior to the AMA session, so that you guys have time to review these highlights and metrics to prepare questions for the AMA ahead. Do let us know if you find this approach more helpful. I'll kick things off by providing some highlights and KPIs from Epoch 11. All of this will be published in a blog post on the Foundation's website, so let's get started. Total volume during the last epoch decreased by $6 billion from $28 billion to $22 billion. And the average daily volume decreased to about 821 million from $1 billion. So that's a 17.9% decrease. In addition, ending open interest decreased significantly to around $291 million, and total value locked decreased significantly too, from $849 million to $486 million, which is a 74.7% decrease. Now, obviously, we are in a general bear market and a challenging environment that is affecting all of crypto and DeFi in particular. Generally speaking, our volumes have traded downwards in line with centralized exchanges. But having said that, our market share in terms of volumes has been relatively stable. So I think it is a reflection of just general market conditions. As the market recovers at some point, we definitely are well positioned to grow with that. But it's clear that from a pure metric standpoint, the last epoch was a challenging one. We will continue to build and focus on the long term. For deposits and withdrawals, from an arbitrary standpoint, we've significantly seen increases in both categories. But if we look at the net effect, the net withdrawals from the protocol have decreased from $33 million to $22 million this epoch, which is something positive to look at. The number of unique depositors remained flat, and the number of active traders decreased slightly by 4%. In terms of wallets, last epoch, there were approximately 8,000 unique wallets that earned 5.8 million DYDX tokens through trading, liquidity providing, and staking rewards. In the last 11 epochs, there's been approximately 55,000 unique wallets that previously earned rewards as well. In terms of the LP rewards, for Epoch 11, there are 50 new addresses, 37 existing, and 13 new ones that did more than 0.25% in maker volume in Epoch 11, and they are eligible to participate in LP rewards for Epoch 12. This is an increase from Epoch 10, where we saw 47 addresses being eligible. And generally speaking, ever since the formula change in Epoch 9 around how the LP rewards are calculated, we have seen the competition in the pool increase. I think it probably takes a few epochs for this to fully play out, but clearly there are a lot of compounding variables with the market more broadly. And generally, I think if you look at the preliminary data, the changes to the LP rewards has resulted in a more competitive dynamic between existing market makers, so that's overall encouraging. On the liquidity module side of things, we're seeing 152 million USDC staked at the end of the epoch from approximately 615 users. However, at the start of Epoch 12, there's only about 40 million USDC being actively staked and earning rewards. So linked to this is our recent snapshot to wind down the borrowing pool. I'll deliberate more on this later, but we've seen significant withdrawals from the liquidity module when the snapshot pool was raised. From a borrowing standpoint, you can kind of see that only 4 market makers have borrowed 38 million USDC from the staked pool, and one market maker accounts for over 22 million USDC being borrowed. On safety modules, there's currently 34.5 million DYDX staked from 3,066 users. We've seen this number decrease slightly from Epoch 10, where 36 million DYDX was staked. The top 2 stakers accounted for 30% of all staked DYDX. 11.86% of the total DYDX in circulation are considered liquid. This has increased over the last 11 epochs or so, and is above the 10% threshold required for a long time lock code. So really at this point, the community has the ability to make any changes to the governance contracts using any type of executor contracts that is available to them. On the delegator side of things, if you hold enough DYDX or stake DYDX but have no time to review proposals, gas is too expensive to vote, or you don't have enough information, consider delegating the proposing and or voting power to one of our 12 endorsed delegates. Now on to some announcements. So obviously the big announcement for the last epoch 11, was the announcement of the DYDX chain. So on June 22nd, DYDX Trading announced DYDX V4, the DYDX chain, which is a standalone blockchain based on the Cosmos SDK, built on top of the Tendermint proof of stake consensus protocol. So in line with the initial announcement of V4, trading is planning to fully open source V4 by the end of 2022. With DYDX V4, the DYDX protocol will be entirely community controlled. On to some snapshot polls that we have for Epoch 11. So the first snapshot poll that we had was the winding down of the borrowing poll. So on July the 3rd, this was raised by Sixten, one of our market makers, to turn off rewards generated by staking USDC to the liquidity staking pool, to remove the deposit functionality on the DYDX community dashboard, as well as to send the remaining DYDX rewards, which is roughly 383,000 DYDX per epoch, to the community treasury. So the poll ended 4 days later on July 7th, with almost unanimous consent from the community to wind down the borrowing pool. The next snapshot that we had for Epoch 11 was adding 15 new assets to the Starkware Priority Time Lock Executor. So this was submitted on June 22nd by Reverie, and this was actually a follow-up on top of a previous snapshot poll which wanted to add 5 assets. So this most recent one proposed to add 10 more, so an aggregate of 15 assets were to be added for this snapshot. So you can kind of see that these are all the 15 assets to be listed, and the assets can be reviewed using the asset listing tool created by Chaos Labs. So what are the next steps for the snapshot post? The next step is for the community, should it desire, to complete an off-chain DIP for each proposal and submit pull requests to the pending DIP branch of the Foundation's GitHub page. An on-chain DIP may only be submitted by a community member who holds enough proposition power for these type of proposals, which in this case is a Starkware Priority Time Lock contract. So to propose, a community member must have at least 5 million DYDX or stake DYDX or delegated DYDX. And to pass, we need the proposal to achieve 20 million DYDX or stake DYDX minimum quorum and a 5 million yes-no vote differential. So once reviewed, the DYDX Foundation will merge the pending DIP branch to the master branch, at which point the DIP will automatically be uploaded to IPFS. The IPFS hash of the new DIP proposals will then become available. So on to some of the forum discussions. The first is, if we look at the DRCs, Reverie posted a DRC to request for an additional 5.47 million in DYDX tokens to launch DGP 1.5 or DYDX Grants Program 1.5. So DGP 1.5 aims to focus on fundamental categories that the community will need to manage in V4, which includes asset listings, international marketing and growth, analytics, and preparation for V4 in general. Reverie also responded to a DRC earlier posted calling for transparency and a public-facing selection criteria by posting an expanded overview of the criteria and questions used by the grants team to access applications. Lastly, the DYDX Foundation posted a DRC to discuss which core values should be adopted across the DYDX DAO. WC Hood also posted a thread to increase the position limits of the Bitcoin Perpetuals contract by 2.5 times to 425 contracts, and the ETH Perpetuals contract by also 2.5 times to 7,050 contracts. B12A1N also created a thread exploring V4 trading fees and utility for staked DYDX and hedges. Lastly, on the hedges side of things, the DYDX Foundation announced that 15 out of the DYDX Foundation's 205 hedges have found new homes with DYDX community members. You can read more about it here by clicking, which redirects you to the Commonwealth post on hedges distributions. So lastly, on the administrative side of things, Epoch 12 started on July the 5th, 2022 at 3 p.m. UTC and ends 28 days later on August 2nd, 2022 at 3 p.m. UTC. Epoch 11 ended on July the 5th, 2022 at 3 p.m. UTC, and the rewards will be claimable on July the 12th at 8:14 p.m. UTC. So this is roughly 7 days and 5 hours after the end of Epoch 11. Once tokens have been claimed, they can be transferred, staked to the safety module, or delegated to DYDX governance. So I hope this has been helpful, and we appreciate any feedback from the community. Thank you.